Welcome back. In today's channel we are going to analyse Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. So please tune in, please lock in. First game of the season. Hello, welcome back to Sports Minded. I'm your host Curtis, good to have you back. And it was a tough game. It was a tough day for Enzo Maresca's Chelsea's players. What a tough game. What a tough game that was. Crystal Palace, they come to the bridge with a game plan. And to me, they executed the game plan 110%. Credit to Palace, credit to Glasner. He had the upper hand over Maresca all game, overloading that midfield. Chelsea were not able to play through the centre of Crystal Palace, especially the way Walton was playing in the centre midfield. He was snuffing out any bits of danger. And overall, the performance from the Crystal Palace team was far more superior than what we saw yesterday from Chelsea. Sadly, watching it, Chelsea just looked lost with creativity, ideas going forward. Really missing Levi Colwill at the back, who does start a lot of the attacks from the CCB position. The CCB position was today played by Akinpong, 19-year-old, who I thought was absolutely outstanding. Well done to you. Really solid game in a tricky game against Mateta, who's tall, who's physical, who's aggressive. So he done well to nullify some of his attacks going forward. But the midfield is where we lost it in that centre midfielder role. I thought the wing backs of Munoz and Mitchell for Crystal Palace on the wide areas nullified. Gittins in the first half, who didn't have a very good game, mainly because, again, Munoz and Mitchell were excellent as the wider players, the wing-back positions for Crystal Palace. And Neto not being able to get into the game, trying a bit too hard on the ball rather than go for the simple pass. From Chelsea, lots of sideways passes, lots of backwards passes. What Crystal Palace did really well was to close them spaces down into a low block. Soon as Chelsea crossed the halfway line, they was able to sit their players in deep. And Chelsea just couldn't play through them. Cucurella, as we know, likes to come inside to try and force that overload for Chelsea in the midfield with Caicedo and Enzo, and it didn't work. Okay, Crystal Palace knew that. That's why they put the men in there. They had the 3 men in there. Made it very difficult for Chelsea to play through the middle. And again, on the wider positions, it just didn't work. I must admit, we were lucky. We were lucky because I believe that Eze goal should have stood, not fully understanding the rules of why it was disallowed. Fortunately for Chelsea, it was disallowed. But that goal was a crucial turning point in the game. Because I believe if Crystal Palace have that goal, they're able to defend for 60, 90 minutes and get the result that they needed. So very fortunate that that Eze goal was chalked off. Yeah, disappointed. First game of the season, all the hype, all the buzz. I thought we was going to get a good result today, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Very frustrating. Let's not get too carried away. That's all I'm hearing. First game of the season. Palmer didn't get involved enough. Lots of negatives throughout the whole team, the way we played. But let's not get carried away, and that's true. We got West Ham coming up. Friday night, 8 o'clock kickoff. I think where we're going to really up our game. West Ham can't play any worse than they did against Sunderland away. They're going to come at us. And I believe they're going to come at us a lot different to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace had a game plan. They're going to sit back, absorb the pressure. They don't care if they're going to have 20%, 25% possession. Chelsea was like 70-odd% possession. They don't care. As soon as they get the ball, they're going to counter, which they did. They had Sarr, they had Eze, they had Mateta. They broke quickly, they looked effective, and they created chances. They created chances and they could have scored. Chelsea's point of view, Sanchez was poor. Again, looked the same old Sanchez at the back, which is not what we want. The few opportunities to get the ball up into good positions. He didn't find the right pass. Again, he looks a bit shaky with his handwork, so not too sure what the plan is. Really need someone like Donnarumma at the back. However, Man United are also having their goalkeeping issues. They might decide that they need to get Donnarumma in, or he might just go to Man City. So yeah, quite frustrating in the goalkeeping position. So an area we do need to improve at going forward for this long season. Yeah, so again, although it's a negative result, what positives can we take from it? Estevao coming on, again, gets the crowd going. Brazilian player, 18 years of age. He's a huge talent. Was making things happen purely on being positive with the ball. What do I mean being positive on the ball? Taking it forward, taking players on. Sometimes it was a 1v1. He backs himself. Sometimes it was a 2v1. He was outnumbered and he still looked to be positive. Take the ball down the line, cross the ball in. As soon as he come on, he injected a new bit of energy and pace into this Chelsea attack. However, he didn't get on the ball enough towards the dying stages of the game, unfortunately, which was a shame. They just wouldn't give him the ball. When Reece James come off, Gusto come on. Gusto was trying to do too much himself, crossing and shooting rather than looking at the wing outlet of Estevao. So excited to see him and maybe start potentially the next game. Also, as an addition to the positive, was the amount of effort Cucurella gave. He was everywhere. Out of all the Chelsea players, he covered the most distance. So credit to Cucurella, he was unbelievable. He did not stop running. I think he was over 7 kilometres of running for the whole game, which is absolutely amazing for him. Again, he was trying to overload the midfield that Crystal Palace really did put the bodies in there, so it was difficult. But he was up and down. So as a positive, Cucurella, really good energy and performance for him. Constantly tracking back, constantly pushing up to give Chelsea extra options in a difficult game. So that was a positive. Another positive was the corners. We had 11 corners in the game. So yeah, that was a positive, but we didn't make any of them or convert them into goals. So that's something we can work on. 11 corners, and we didn't really do enough. Delivery does need to be better. We need to be attacking that ball. I believe one of the early corners that we had, it was cleared off the line. I think Sarr at the back headed it away. Don't know if it was going in. I think it was going to go and hit the post and bounce out, but it got cleared. So we had 1 or 2 opportunities from the set pieces, but going forward, we need to see a big improvement in the way we attack the crosses. There was a lot of negatives in the game. Lack of tempo, sideways passes, backwards passes. Too slow in the build-up. Yeah, you're playing against a team with a low block. We're going to get that this season. There's so many teams in the Premier League that play with a low block. We're going to have to work it out. João Pedro struggled throughout the second half, didn't get the support. He was battling against 2-3 centre-halves for the majority of the match. And then Delap had to come on 15 minutes. It's not enough time for him to get involved. Didn't really create much. Again, lack of support, not lack of trying. Again, from all the Chelsea players, they did try. Palmer tried to get involved in the game towards the end. For 3/4 of the game, it was non-existent. But then, let's give credit to Crystal Palace. They made it difficult. They made it tricky. They got 2 draws, home and away to Chelsea last season. They start their season with a draw. They're hard to beat. They're hard to play against. Chelsea always struggle against Crystal Palace. Said this in my last video. It's not going to be easy. They overloaded their central positions. We couldn't play through the middle. We had to play out wide. And that's when their wing-backs tucked in and made a back 5. Very tricky to play against. So, really disappointing result. Didn't lose. Should have won that game. We didn't. But let's forget about it now. It's done. It's done now. There's nothing we can do. We've got to move on. West Ham, away. Let's show everyone in the Premier League what Chelsea's about. Let's go in there, away from home, and beat them. So they're always, again, London derbies, tough games. I cannot believe the first 4 games Chelsea have are 4 London derbies. It's something like Crystal Palace, West Ham, Brentford and Fulham. It was always a hard game in a London derby. There's so many of them now. And we usually win a lot of them when we play Tottenham. But against these other teams, it just seems like it's a struggle, it's a battle. So, fingers crossed for Friday. And hopefully, we'll show a bit more enthusiasm, a bit more positivity going forward, moving the ball quicker. It's so slow. It was so slow in transitions, going through the thirds. And when Crystal Palace knew this, and they'd sit back, absorb, As soon as they win the ball back in the right areas, they're looking to counter. So their game plan worked fantastically. Maresca just doesn't seem to have a plan B yet. So we do need signings. We need signings. We need Xavi Simons in. I think Garnacho gives us something different. We need a few more players in defensively. We looked a bit vulnerable without Levy Colwell, so that's a concern. Wesley Fofana on the bench today to make up the numbers. I don't know what his fitness is like when he's going to be back playing. Tosin had a physical injury, so I haven't read too much into that. Hopefully nothing serious for Tosin, because again, he's good cover for Levi Colwell. So we don't want to lose these key players at the back. So overall, let's not read too much into it. Disappointed, yes. Angry at the time and frustrated, yes. But first game of the season, it's a marathon, not a sprint, as Cole Palmer said after the game. So let's take it game by game. But we need to be pushing now. We can't be dropping these points with other teams around us. And we need to be battling up in that top four. So drop points on Sunday afternoon against Crystal Palace. On to the next one. Let's see how we get on. Hopefully we get a bit more chemistry going with the new players we've got in, especially the change in positions at the back there. It's going to take a little while for the players to get used to playing with each other. Let's stay positive. Let's not lose the faith after one game, after one difficult game. It's always the next one. And that's what we'll be focused on now going forward. So thank you for watching. Please comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know your views as always. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next one.